I am young Homer, here to guide you further into the rise and fall of Zeus. Tonight, we continue Series 9, Weaknesses, Pitfalls, and the Slow Decline of Zeus, with Episode 79, The Trojan War, Olympus Fractured. In this tale, we witness the fateful Trojan War, a conflict that divides not only mortals, but also the gods themselves. As the great battle unfolds between Troy and Greece, alliances are drawn and the gods take sides, each driven by loyalty, pride, or vengeance. Zeus attempts to remain above the fray, yet the scale of the war and the passions it unleashes begin to shake even his control. This war among mortals becomes a mirror of Olympus itself, fractured and strained as gods turn against one another, and Zeus's rule is challenged by forces of rivalry and resentment. As we enter this tale of loyalty and conflict, allow yourself to settle deeply into the warmth of your bed, feeling safe, grounded, and fully supported. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a slow, deep breath in, letting calm fill your chest, as steady as the tides of history. As you exhale, release any remaining tension, allowing your body to grow heavy, sinking into stillness and peace. This is your time to rest, to let go, and to find ease. Now, focus on the gentle rhythm of your breath, each inhale and exhale as constant as the quiet pulse of distant drums. Take a slightly deeper breath in, letting it fill you completely, and hold it softly for a moment. Then, as you exhale, imagine any tightness dissolving, leaving only warmth and calm. One more time, breathe in deeply, and as you exhale, feel yourself sinking further, calm and serene. Now, let's guide each part of the body to soften, inviting rest with every breath. Start with your forehead, allowing it to relax completely as you exhale. Move to your jaw, releasing any tightness, letting it rest softly. Now, bring awareness to your shoulders. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, let them fall gently as though setting down the weight of old rivalries. Allow your arms and hands to grow heavy, resting peacefully by your sides. Notice the steady rise and fall in your chest and belly, inhaling as your belly rises, and on the exhale, releasing any last bits of tension, feeling light and free. Shift your focus to your hips and thighs, letting them sink deeper into the bed, fully supported and relaxed. And finally, bring attention to your calves, feet, and toes, allowing them to release completely, grounded and calm. Now, imagine yourself on the edge of a vast battlefield at twilight, where a heavy silence settles over the land as the day fades. In the distance, you see Zeus, his face solemn as he watches the gods take sides, each swayed by loyalty or vendetta. Though he longs to maintain peace, he feels the strain of a divided Olympus, his rule shaken by the passions of those he calls kin. The air is charged, filled with the echoes of both mortal and immortal conflict, a reflection of the cracks beginning to show even in the realm of the gods. With each breath, feel yourself surrounded by the quiet intensity of this moment, as though you, too, understand the fragility of power and the cost of division. Inhale deeply, letting the calm and depth of the scene fill you, and exhale, feeling grounded, steady, and fully at ease. With your body relaxed and your mind open, allow the story to carry you into this world of loyalty, conflict, and resilience, where gods and mortals alike face the trials of war and pride. Take one last deep breath in and let it out softly. Now, let us begin. The origin of the Trojan War began with a seemingly innocuous event, an apple. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, Eris, goddess of discord, threw a golden apple inscribed with the words, "To the fairest," among the guests. The gift incited immediate rivalry among the goddesses, with Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite each claiming it for herself. Their dispute soon grew into a battle of pride, a test of who held the true title of beauty and power among them. To settle the matter, Zeus, wary of becoming directly involved, appointed Paris, a mortal prince of Troy, to judge between them. Hera promised him power, Athena offered wisdom and victory in battle, and Aphrodite promised him the love of the most beautiful mortal woman, Helen of Sparta. Swayed by Aphrodite's offer, Paris awarded her the apple, setting in motion a chain of events that would lead to the abduction of Helen, the spark that ignited the war between Troy and the Achaean Greeks. What began as a contest of beauty quickly evolved into a deadly conflict, one that would drag the gods of Olympus into its depths. Each goddess, slighted or victorious, harbored her own grudge, her own motivation for influencing the outcome. And thus, the gods chose sides, each one eager to protect their honor, their pride, and their chosen heroes on the mortal battlefield. The Trojan War was no longer a mortal affair. It had become a divine battleground, with Olympus itself at stake. As the conflict unfolded, the gods found themselves divided, each one drawn to a different side, based on personal loyalties and grievances. Hera, bitter from Paris's choice, aligned herself with the Greeks, as did Athena, who sought vengeance for the slight against her wisdom. Poseidon, god of the sea, also joined the Greeks, eager to see Troy fall after past conflicts with the city. Together, they formed a powerful alliance, seeking to bring down the walls of Troy and prove their superiority. Aphrodite, however, stood firmly on the side of the Trojans, protecting Paris and his beloved Helen as symbols of her own influence over love and beauty. Apollo, god of prophecy, and healing joined her, feeling a connection to Troy and drawn to the noble spirit of its defenders. Even Artemis, goddess of the hunt, sided with the Trojans, supporting her twin brother Apollo and challenging the forces of those who opposed her. The gods' involvement in the war was not merely symbolic. Each deity actively intervened on the battlefield, empowering their favored warriors, guiding arrows, and altering the tide of battle. Mortals fought fiercely, but they knew they were pawns in a game of divine rivalry, their fates entangled in the quarrels of gods. Olympus, once a realm of unity under Zeus's rule, now stood divided, each god's loyalty torn between family and personal pride. In the Trojan War, the gods revealed their true colors, beings of passion and pride, whose rivalries could drive even Olympus to the brink. From his throne, Zeus observed the growing chaos with mounting frustration. Bound by his desire to maintain neutrality, he watched as his family fractured, each god acting according to their own will. Zeus had sworn not to take sides, yet his impartiality began to waver as he saw the devastation his kin wreaked upon the mortal world and upon each other. The god's defiance of his commands shook his authority, leaving him feeling isolated, unable to contain the tide of conflict that threatened to consume them all. Though he attempted to issue decrees and impose limits, the gods disregarded his commands, driven by personal vendettas and loyalties. Each interference he made on the battlefield was countered by another god's intervention, each move escalating the tension both among the mortals and within Olympus. To Zeus, this was more than a test of power. It was a test of his ability to lead, to hold his family together as they tore themselves apart in a war of pride and passion. At one point, Zeus tried to end the war by declaring that the gods would no longer interfere in mortal affairs. But his decree was ignored, each god continuing to manipulate the battle to secure their own desired outcome. Hera taunted him with her defiance, and even Athena, his trusted daughter, refused to back down. The realization struck Zeus deeply. His control over Olympus was slipping, his influence eroded by the very gods he had united under his rule. The Trojan War became a bitter reminder for Zeus that even a king's power had its limits, that even he could not prevent the unraveling of Olympus. As the gods clashed above, the battlefield below became a site of relentless bloodshed, where mortal heroes were forced to contend not only with each other, but with the whims of divine beings. Achilles, the greatest of the Greek warriors, was blessed by the gods, but haunted by a tragic fate. His strength unmatched, yet his death foretold. Hector, the noble defender of Troy, was likewise influenced by divine forces, each choice guided or hindered by the gods who favored or opposed him. These heroes were more than warriors. They were symbols of human resilience, individuals whose lives were forever altered by their entanglement with the gods. Achilles' rage, Hector's courage, Odysseus' cunning. Each mortal's journey reflected the struggles of Olympus, a mirror of divine ambition and rivalry. Yet, unlike the gods, these mortals faced real consequences. Their lives, brief and fragile, ended on the battlefield, each one a sacrifice in a game they had no true control over. To the mortals, the gods became both allies and curses, forces that could grant victory or death with equal ease. The Trojan War, for them, was a lesson in divine cruelty and the tragic beauty of human bravery. Though blessed by gods, they bore the scars of a war that was as much a clash of Olympus as it was a battle for Troy. In their suffering, mortals became the ultimate casualties of a conflict fueled by divine pride, a reminder that the gods' power came at a devastating cost. As the war dragged on, Zeus saw the devastation that had befallen both sides. The death of Patroclus, Achilles' dearest companion, drove Achilles into a fury that tore through the Trojan forces. His wrath, spurred on by divine intervention, left a trail of destruction that nearly destroyed the city. But even Achilles, invincible as he seemed, could not escape his own fate. Guided by Apollo, Paris struck Achilles down with a single arrow, ending the life of Greece's greatest hero. The death of Achilles resonated throughout Olympus, a symbol of the cost of divine meddling in mortal lives. Zeus, watching from his throne, felt the impact deeply, recognizing that even the mightiest were not immune to fate. This war, intended as a simple contest, had become a tragedy, a reminder that even gods could not control the destinies they set into motion. With each hero's fall, the gods saw the consequences of their actions, the fragile line between divine will and mortal suffering, shattered by their own hands. Achilles' death marked the turning point of the war, leading to the eventual downfall of Troy and the end of an era. But for Olympus, it was a blow to their own sense of power and purpose, a revelation that the gods themselves were bound to the fates of mortals, unable to control the ripple effects of their own desires. The fall of heroes like Achilles reminded the gods that their influence, though vast, could not shield them from the consequences of their actions. In the aftermath of the war, as Troy burned and the mortals returned to their fractured lives, Zeus found himself reflecting on the toll the conflict had taken on Olympus. He saw the disunity among his family, the broken alliances, and the lingering resentment that had festered during the war. His attempts to remain neutral, to hold his kingdom together, had failed, leaving him isolated and uncertain. Zeus realized that the Trojan War had revealed a fatal flaw in his rule, the illusion of control. He had believed that as king of the gods, his authority would keep Olympus unified, that his word alone could prevent chaos. Yet, the gods had ignored his decrees. defied his commands and chosen their own paths. The war had exposed the truth that even his children, even his closest allies, would defy him when driven by their own desires. In the quiet of Olympus, Zeus felt the weight of his own hubris, the understanding that his power was not enough to bind the gods together. He understood that his throne, once a symbol of absolute authority, now stood as a reminder of a fractured kingdom, a kingdom divided by pride, by loyalty, and by the relentless ambition of its own members. The Trojan War left Zeus with a painful realization. His rule was no longer unassailable, his influence no longer absolute. The Trojan War left scars not only on the mortal realm but on Olympus itself. The gods, once united under Zeus's leadership, emerged from the conflict with fractured loyalties and newfound grudges. Hera's resentment toward Zeus grew deeper, Athena's independence strengthened, and Apollo's loyalty to the Trojans left him questioning his place among the gods. Even mortals, now aware of the gods' own pettiness and rivalries, turned their eyes away from Olympus, disillusioned by the divine forces that had wreaked havoc upon their lives. Olympus was no longer the unbreakable realm it once had been. The war had shown the gods that their own pride and rivalry could be as destructive as any mortal rebellion. The unity of the pantheon was forever weakened, each god carrying the memory of the war as a reminder of their vulnerability, their capacity for both greatness and cruelty. The war had fractured the foundations of divine power, leaving Zeus's throne a symbol not of strength, but of a kingdom beginning to crumble. For the mortals, the gods were no longer distant beings of awe, but flawed beings capable of error and division. The Trojan War became a tale of warning, a story passed down through generations as a reminder of the cost of divine intervention, a cautionary lesson on the power and fallibility of the gods who ruled from above. In the wake of the Trojan War, Olympus was a kingdom forever changed, its gods bound not by loyalty, but by the shared weight of a devastating conflict. But the war was only the beginning of Olympus's decline. Join us in the next episode as we explore how the gods themselves begin to lose faith in their own authority. Discover how the slow erosion of divine power and influence would lead to a world where mortals and gods alike questioned the very purpose of Olympus. Until we meet again, may your path be filled with peace, strength, and a touch of magic. I'm young Homer, and I look forward to our next story together.